Okay, I'm on Everest today, or as you guys would know him at home as Hello Senator. I'm going to do a bit of flat work with him today and bringing in some trot poles and canter poles. I think it's a really good exercise to teach your horse, keep them engaged, keep yourself engaged whilst doing your flat work. So you're always working on something to do with our end goal, which is having a more rideable horse, which will end up helping us more in the jumping course, if you like. So I've got 3 sets of trot poles set up here, all in 1 yard apart. It's very easy to set up. I think you can all set up at home. I have 2 sets of canter poles, 3 yards apart for your canter poles. I have 13 yards between the 2 poles, so it's a level 3 strides. If your school's not maybe quite as big or whatever, then you can do it with 2 sets of trot poles and 1 set of canter poles if your school allows that. So I think it's a good exercise that everyone can set up at home, and I think it improves the rideability of the horse and keeps us engaged and focused, keeps our horses engaged and focused on what we're doing. So I would like to talk a bit about some different reins which I think come in useful in our rideability of our horse and our jumping. So if I was to say my direct rein, it's basically your normal rein when you're riding in a straight line. So if I was to draw a line, I'd want to draw the line between the bit, my wrist and my hip. So it's direct rein, it's normal rein if you like, bit, wrist, hip. Indirect rein would then, if I was drawing a line, it would be between the bit, wrist and outside hip. So we use this basically to create a bend with the horse, to create the bend. So bit, wrist, outside hip. You wouldn't want to go across the mane's wrong. You end up getting too much and it's not a good contact. So just in line with the mane, bit, wrist, outside hip, if I was drawing a line. Opening hand, if I'm walking along and I open my hand, what does the horse do? He steps his shoulder into that gap. So that's what I'm asking him to do with the opening hand. So if I open my right hand, walk forward, he will walk into that gap with his shoulder. Same with the left rein. Okay, so why do these reins come in useful? They come in useful because it's just a nicer, softer way to bend round a corner rather than land and pull them round with your rein. You start guiding them more with your indirect rein. You create the bend, you open your hand, outside leg, that gets the horse straightened up, and then direct rein, normal rein to go straight. It also helps especially if we're in a jump off and we're wanting to make a tight turn, for example, if we're coming inside the trot poles back to the canter poles, we want the horse to be looking at where we're wanting them to jump. But we don't want to canter up there and then pull them back on the jump. We want to be able to canter up along here, indirect rein, so that they're looking at the jump, inside leg. When we see our distance, open our hand, outside leg, and it's just a far nicer, smoother turn, if you like. So that's the theory behind it all. Okay, we've got to put that into practice. So I've been warming up for a good 15 minutes, so I'm kind of all ready to go straight into my trot poles. I'm going to be doing my trot poles on serpentine loops, which I think is a great warming up exercise for the horse. You get them bending both ways. And then you bring in your trot poles so that we're bending them round our leg and our different reins, left and right. We're just getting the horse a bit more supple. We'll bring in the trot poles up here, using my indirect rein now. Open my hand, outside leg. 2-point seat over the trot poles. So indirect rein to create the bend, inside leg. Open my hand, outside leg. 2-point seat over the trot poles. I think it's good to go into your 2-point seat over the trot poles, which is basically that you're nearly into your jumping position, if you like, that you're up off their back, because the trot poles are to teach them to drop their head and neck and use their back. So we don't want to be bouncing up and down on their back as they're going over the trot poles. We want it to be nice and comfortable for them. We want them to be able to use their back. And okay, if he kicks it, if he kicks it, then you think to yourself, right, have I got enough impulsion in my trot? Am I trotting forward enough? So maybe I need a bit more trot. That might help him. And then at the end of the day, the trot poles are also there for him to think about what he's doing, think about where he's putting his feet, so that he starts to get more of a conscious where his feet are and that he's to miss the poles. But we've got to help him all we can. It's our job as riders to produce them to the fence or the trot poles or the canter poles, whatever we're doing, in a good forward rhythm, balanced, straight, all these things, but then it's up to them to trot over the poles or jump the jump or whatever we're doing. So I would just continue to do this until I feel him nice and relaxed and that we're doing the exercise properly. That's all right. That's okay. Good. Good boy. Good boy. So trot down them one more time. Use my indirect rein. Open my hand, make sure I've got enough impulsion in my trot. Straight. Good boy. And I'm always thinking to myself, what can I do better? What signals more can I do to help him? Good lad. Good, he really thought about where he was putting his feet there. Just in the trot, we were a little far off the first pole. And he's looked at it and thought about what he's doing. Good boy. And he feels more supple there from the start, coming round my leg better. Good lad. Good boy. Good. All right, so yeah, I think a good warming up exercise. Serpentine loops, you're teaching the horse to become more supple. You're trying to get them around your leg more. You're practicing using your reins. I think it's a good warming up exercise and gets us thinking about what we're doing, gets them engaged in what we're doing. So I think it's a nice exercise that you can set up. Again, if your school doesn't allow, then you can have just 2 sets of trot poles or 1 set of trot poles. It's fine, left and right, and just get them bending both ways and becoming more supple and more round your leg.